That's right, today we're doing the worst video. We take a bunch of WWE guys and we send them to AEW, and we go vice versa. Obviously, it's totally pointless because they should go wherever makes them happiest, but we're doing it anyway. And we're going to do switcheroos. So again, I have one person going to WWE. It's a trade, for example. Maybe I should have used the term trade. And a lot of these are just based on what matches I want to see in the future, or characters I think do need to be reset, which is why I'm going to take AJ Styles and send him to AEW, and in return, WWE is getting Wardlow. Now listen, if AJ Styles stays with WWE for the rest of his career, I'm going to be so happy. I think AJ Styles is one of the best of all time, but there's just dudes over there that I want to see him have matches with. It's very selfish of me. I want to see AJ Styles versus Kenny Omega. I want to see AJ Styles versus MJF. I want to see AJ Styles versus Hangman Adam Page. I could do this for days, right? AJ Styles versus Swerve, man, all of them would be so damn good. But, I mean, there are still amazing matches for him in WWE, and he's always going to be great, but we've just seen them because he's almost been there 10 years. Can you believe that? Next year, he's been in WWE a decade, which just scares the shit out of me. But it could still happen, I suppose. And listen, some of those guys I said could move over to WWE one day, and AJ Styles would be there. But that's just what I think about when I see certain matches in AEW. I'm like, man, imagine AJ Styles just turned up right now. Even something like AJ Styles versus Moxley. I know we have seen it before, but it would just be totally wild. And as for Wardlow, as I am talking to you, we don't really know what's going on with him. Maybe he's injured. He hasn't been on TV for a long old time. And mostly, I just don't know what you do with him in AEW anymore, because we tried and we never followed through, and we tried and we never followed through. I don't necessarily think it's anybody's fault. It's certainly not his fault. And I just think that in NXT especially, before he moved to the main roster, well, we've seen it happen a couple of times. We're seeing it with Ricky Saints right now. I just think sometimes you just need a fresh coat of paint. Cody Rhodes was right when he moved across. Adam Copeland was right when he moved across. Same with Bobby Lashley. Once again, I don't want to get into this. And I just think Wardlow is in that kind of position. And I hope that I'm proven wrong. And if he does stay in AEW, he can find his way, because I do really like him. But that's my first trade. And the second one doesn't make any sense, right? But I would love to see Powerhouse Hobbs do exactly what I just said with Wardlow. I actually think he's doing really well in AEW at the moment, and every time he does get an opportunity, he totally smashes it. But Obafemi, that's what it is. Obafemi and like Braun Strowman are in WWE, and seeing how they get pushed, I'm like, oh man, maybe he sort of would be able to find his feet again. I still think it can happen in AEW, just the main event scene is quite packed, and this is just the same as the one I talked about. I want Shinsuke Nakamura to go to AEW. Now, we do not know the state of Shinsuke Nakamura. People like to be, man, he's injured, he's banged up. I don't know that. No one's ever told me that to my face. Certainly not Shinsuke Nakamura, so I'm not going to cast aspersions on him. But again, his career is obviously closer to the end than it is the beginning. And all the people I said before, I'd love to see Kenny Omega versus Shinsuke over there. I'd love to see Shinsuke Nakamura versus anybody they've got over there. Imagine him versus Takeshita. But I don't even know what Nakamura would do with him. Or it just would be brilliant, right? And I'm a huge Shinsuke Nakamura fan. He didn't make his name by accident. Again, you can go back to his New Japan stuff and his NXT match with Sami Zayn when he did debut. But the recent run with LA Knight, the US title, has kind of made me go, WWE is not going to do much with him. And apparently he's making a bunch of money, so good for him. But in my weird dream nerd world, if he was able to have just a few more matches there, my gosh, it would be great. So the next one's a bit weird, but it is a little bit like, I think we need to go test to see if the grass is greener on the other side. And yes, full transparency, and honestly, Thunder Rosa is my friend. She's been really good to me, and I like her a lot, but I would like to see her go the NXT main roster route, because I just don't think that they have anybody like her, and it would be really interesting to see her in that environment. And the flip side, I'd like to see Shayna Baszler go to AEW for kind of the same reason. We just don't do enough with her. And after WWE got rid of Sonya Deville, I'm like, man, do not get rid of Shayna Baszler. I think Sonya was a mistake. I always thought he was so good, but I do understand it. She wasn't getting the opportunities. That's usually when people get released, so it's like a double-edged sword. I do not want that to happen to Shayna Baszler, because she's great. She wears cool custom gear, like video game gear, for goodness sake, but I just think there is more to it. And it's the same with Thunder Rosa, and we've both seen them do it in sort of fits and spurts. Like when AEW had Thunder Rosa as women's champion, she had that match with Britt Baker, it was awesome. When Shayna first came in, especially in NXT, oh my gosh, it was just dangerous, which is a stupid thing to say. It was like Ken Shamrock was back, but ultimately, again, you end up in a company for a certain amount of time, and you just do need something a bit different. And sometimes it's just about going elsewhere. Once again, we'll use Cody Rhodes when he was like, I think he said to Dave Meltzer, it was just time to leave the territory. And it's still true. The territories are just way bigger. So I'd absolutely switch them around. And we carry on with the Pure Fusion Collective, because I would take Zoe Stark and I'd throw her on AEW, and I'd take Jamie Hayter and I'd throw her there back too. Because I just don't really understand the position that either of them are in. I think they're both great, they're both wonderful, they're both young, they both have a massive upside, and every time you do get matches, brilliant. There's Zoe Stark was in a speed match with whoever the flub it was the other day, Candice LeRae. It must have been. She's the champion. Just so much fun. I was like, man, we could just take advantage of this. And we all know how great Jamie Hayter is, ever since she came back at All In last year. Just haven't really got into a proper pattern like a Julia Hart feud I thought was fun, but then she went away again. So it really is just about getting momentum, and maybe they're just too crowded on either side. Because when you do turn up somewhere new, all of a sudden you're a brand new character. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that person's here. And you can ride that wave. And sometimes people sink and sometimes they swim. But when I was going through the rosters, like, well, that's another switcheroo. I think that really opens up the door for some exciting matches as well. That's all it's really about. That person's going to fight that person. Well, I want to watch it. This one makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I picked Finn Balor, which is exactly the same reason as AJ Styles, because I just want to see him fight all of his old friends. But he's brilliant at WWE too. And of course, I flipped him around with MJF. It's only because I want to see MJF in a WWE-fueled system. What do they do with him? How do they see him? Would they dare put him in NXT first? Did they change his name to, like, I don't know, Bob Harris Jr.? It would be such an intriguing thing to me. And he is a megastar regardless what he does. I just want to know. It's like when Cody went back. A bit different because he'd been there before. But I remember in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania 30, I was like, what are they going to do? Who does he come back? They change his name just because they're obsessed with doing it. And MJF sort of comes with that in a different package. Some things you just want to see, man. It has nothing to do with AEW versus WWE or who you like better. I don't care about that. I like professional wrestling. But it was why I was so pumped. I was in that crowd for WrestleMania 30. I was so excited just to see what we're going to do with Cody. It's one of my favorite live memories ever. It would be the same with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. It would just be exploding with questions. I need to know, so one day I need to see it. I'm also taking Nyla Rose and switching her with Michin. I think Michin's really good, and I think she's done a decent job in her Chelsea Green feud, but she said it herself, something isn't clicking. I think what she needs to do is go somewhere else. I'd take the Drew McIntyre route and just reinvent herself a little bit, and I think Nyla Rose is so funny and has such a good personality that especially on NXT, I do not see NXT as, oh, you only started developmental. BS. She, of course, would make her way to the main roster, but she just has something that tickles me. And I just think NXT is perfect for that. I want someone that's going to book her and go, listen, you can go absolutely nuts. And she'll go, oh, I'll go absolutely nuts. And just make jokes all the time and then somehow still beat up Serpentico, even though that wouldn't be possible. I just think that Michin benefits on AEW TV because it can be more match heavy. And given that WWE can be more personality heavy, why aren't we doing this, man? We should do it tomorrow. I'm kind of switching two people here as well for exactly the same reason. I put Okada on WWE. That's an MJF reason, by the way. I love Okada in AEW. I think he's hilarious. But what does WWE do with him? Again, the Shinsuke Nakamura thing was weird, and if you go way back, there is some problematic booking of Japanese wrestlers. But I would move Chad Gable to AEW. Again, I just want to see them have matches against other people I've never seen them have matches against. I need Kenny Omega versus Okada first in that Texas show at All In 2025. But I think Chad Gable could one day come back to WWE. Not that should be his aim. I'm not saying that. I think eventually, obviously, he'll run out of steam there too. That happens to everybody. And you have to take some time off. It's a Drew McIntyre thing again. I think if Chad Gable was put in a position where he was able to run one because he's just such a good wrestler, when his contract came due, everyone would be like, what are we doing, man? We've got to go and get that guy. And it could be one of those shifts where all of a sudden it puts himself as a upper tier guy or maybe a world champion type guy, depending on how well it got over. And again, Drew McIntyre, people forget that now. When Drew McIntyre left WWE, he was in 3MB. Didn't matter he was 6'6" and whatever he is and jacked. It was like that's how people saw him. No one ever thought he was going to win the Royal Rumble or beat Brock Lesnar for a championship, but he went out there and he did the work. I mean, he's doing the work anyway, but you know what I'm saying. I can just see Chad Gable doing the same thing. Now, I hope it does happen within WWE, but if it doesn't, if you put a card on WWE, I'm going to feel satiated. If Chad Gable went to AEW, I would feel the same. Think of the matches we can get. And also, I want to see Randy Orton versus Okada. I want to see it. They both treat matches the same way. We start slow and we get fast at the end. In a good way, it could be the slowest match of all time. I'd also send Karrion Kross to AEW and I'd replace him with Danhausen because Danhausen's not being featured anyway. And again, this is my NXT love showing through. Can you imagine that character there? Oh, it'd be so funny. It'd be so good. And I need to see it. And Karrion Kross is the proverbial. I think he needs to go somewhere else to remind people how good he is. Now, there are some rumors of me talking to you that he could work Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. That would be good too. But he's gotten himself over on the internet recently. And I just think there's more there. We saw it in TNA. We kind of saw it in NXT a little bit. And the main roster, I think he's just still suffering from that awful stuff we did with him on the main roster thanks to Vince stupid McMahon. It still annoys me, that stupid helmet, a stupid gimp outfit he was wearing. Karrion Kross is like an intriguing person, and not like, oh, I don't understand you. Like, he talks, like, well, I need to know more now, man. But we've never really gotten back to a place. And the Final Testament wasn't that good either. He just has not been given the best creative. And sometimes when that does happen, again, you need to wash it off. That's you leave a company, go to another company, and you do come back. So that's why I'd love to see it. There's nothing against him. And once more, Danhausen is so funny and he's so crazy. Think of the character, I'm repeating myself, but think of the characters on NXT. In fact, him and Nyla Rose should go there. They should become a tag team. I'll be the happiest man on the planet. I'm also going to switch the Guns and DIY just because I'd love to see the Guns in WWE for obvious reasons, and DIY, all their mates. I mean, they're brilliant on SmackDown. They're the tag team champions, but again, this one just stands to reason. I just want to see them versus the Young Bucks, and someone says you have 20 minutes, you can do whatever you want. Probably be the best tag team match ever. And I will end with Candice LeRae, mostly for the same reason we talked about, but also Johnny Gargano's wife. It's nice they'd be together, and I think she'd probably switch places with Saraya, right? The former Paige. I think Paige will end up back on WWE. I don't know whether she's re-signed or she hasn't re-signed, or what her physical health is like, or if WWE would clear her. But I just kind of feel like that's the best of the both worlds situation. And Candice is massively underrated. She is. Again, she had that speed match with Zoe Stark, and when she is allowed to work, she's very, very good. Even as the best friend of Nia Jax, she's such a jerk. But she's a much better babyface. She just has a wonderful warmth to her, which makes her such an idiot. But she does. You want to support her, which is the secret sauce of a good guy. And I don't ever think she's going to get more than what she's currently getting in WWE, which is not a bad position to be in, by the way. Having a WWE contract is amazing. People forget that. But I just think there would be more for her in AEW. I think she'd be able to sort of, what's that phrase? Like raise her head above the parapet or whatever. It's not parapet at all. You know what I'm talking about here. So I would do that too. And I think if you took those 20 people, those 10 people, and you switched them around, there would be intrigue, there would be fun, there would be excitement. And ultimately, we can continue to enjoy professional wrestling in the way that we want to do. But as I said at the start, you should do whatever the club you want to do based on your happiness and based on your wealth. If somebody offers you $10 million, go there. Even if they say $10 million and we're going to do nothing with you, I will take that $10 million. And there's no need to get mad about any of this, because AEW being around and WWE being a big behemoth means there's more money for everyone. And wrestlers put their lives on the line every day. They deserve the bag. Now, I would have said plenty of stupid stuff here, so make sure you leave me a comment below, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the notification bell, and you can click the video on the screen for yet more videos from this idiot. Otherwise, grillermind.com/Simon. You can Simon get 10% off and sometimes more. Simon316 on all social media. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. Simon Miller on Cameo. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. And there's a big cartel again. Everything is in that description down there. I appreciate you, my friends. See you soon.